What if I told you that the Vatican could be hiding one of the biggest secrets in history? A sacred artifact, lost for centuries, that could reveal forbidden truths about Jesus Christ and the Christian faith. Has the cup of the Last Supper been finally found? But if this is true, why has the Church never spoken about it? What is being hidden from humanity? A Vatican secret library, a place shrouded in mystery and protected by layers of secrecy, holds documents and relics that have never been shown to the public. But among these secrets, there is something even more disturbing. Evidence that suggests that the Holy Grail may be hidden inside the Church's most inaccessible vaults. This would explain the absolute silence regarding this sacred object. Why would the Church keep such a huge secret? The search for Holy Grail has spanned centuries, since the Templars, even modern historians. Some believe he has divine powers. Others say that its real meaning has been distorted over time. However, recently, researchers claim to have found surprising clues to its whereabouts. But if the truth has come to light, why does the Vatican remain silent? And here's what makes it all the more disturbing. Ancient manuscripts suggest that the chalice may contain something much more impactful than we imagine, something that could shake the pillars of the Christian faith and reveal a side of the story that has never been told to the world. Secret documents indicate that the Vatican not only knows the truth about this relic, but may be deliberately hiding it. Now stop and think. If this discovery is real, how would it change everything we know about the history of Christianity? And most importantly, what else could be hidden within the Church's secret archives? Leave your comment now. Do you believe the Vatican could be hiding the real cup of the Last Supper? If this discovery came to light, would the world be ready for this truth? If this truth is revealed, are we ready to deal with the consequences? The discovery of Chalice of the Last Supper. It is not just an archaeological or historical question. It directly touches on faith, spirituality, and what we believe about the mysteries of the divine. If there's one thing the Vatican fears, perhaps it's not just the revelation of an artifact, but the impact that discovery could have on millions of people around the world. And faced with so many mysteries and hidden secrets, there is something we can do: pray and seek discernment. Regardless of where the truth lies, prayer strengthens us and brings us closer to what really matters. Therefore, I want you to leave your prayer request here in the comments, whether for your life, for your family, for your faith, or simply for the truth to be revealed. Let's create a powerful prayer chain, because when we unite, nothing can be hidden forever. Also, if you believe this mystery needs to be shared, leave your like right now. This helps this video reach more people and take this message to those who need to know the truth. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because here we continue to explore the Vatican's most hidden secrets, forbidden revelations, and mysteries that could change everything we know. The journey is just beginning, and in the next video, we'll explore another secret the Church never wanted you to discover. Then, don't leave without subscribing, leaving your prayer request, and sharing this video. The truth may be closer than we think, and maybe the Vatican cannot hide it much longer. The Holy Grail has always been surrounded by mysteries, legends, and forbidden secrets. For centuries, historians, Templars, and even the Church itself have searched for this sacred relic, believing it carries power beyond human understanding. But what would happen if he had been found and this truth was being hidden from the world? Does the Vatican hide the location of the real Chalice of the Last Supper? What could be so dangerous about this discovery that the Church would never admit its existence? Official history tells us that the original chalice used by Jesus Christ at the Last Supper has been lost over the centuries. But what few know is that there is ancient documents, secret manuscripts, and even records within the Vatican's own secret library that may hold clues to its whereabouts. Could it be that the Grail is hidden in some underground vault in the Vatican, protected by a silent brotherhood that has prevented this knowledge from reaching us for centuries? Independent researchers say new evidence could prove that the Holy Grail not only exists, but has already been found. In a cathedral in Spain, an ancient chalice was discovered, and, according to analysis, it would have originated in the 1st century, and could be the same one that was in the hands of Jesus. But if there is a chance that this relic is authentic, why does the Vatican remain completely silent? Why does no church authority speak out about this discovery? The answer may lie in the meaning of the Holy Grail itself. Over the centuries, several legends have suggested that the Grail was not just a sacred object, but a receptacle of a much greater secret. Some claim that it contains the blood of Christ. Others believe it to be the key to hidden knowledge that could shake the pillars of Christianity. What if it's true that this cup holds something that would forever change the way we view faith? Would the Vatican keep this secret under lock and key? There are also records that indicate that secret orders within the church itself, they have knowledge about the true cup and do everything to prevent it from being revealed. Some theories point to the Templars, who would have been the last guardians of the Grail before the church persecuted and exterminated their order. If this group held this information, what else could have been hidden and destroyed throughout history to prevent this secret from being revealed? Documents kept at the Vatican could hold answers. Among the many manuscripts that have never been opened to the public are accounts of sacred artifacts, forgotten relics, and even apocryphal texts that were removed from the Bible because they contained inconvenient truths. If the Holy Grail is actually catalogued in these secret archives, it would mean that the Church has always known its true location. But why never made this information public? The most disturbing question is, what would happen if the true Holy Grail was revealed to the world? The impact of this could be devastating. The history of Christianity could need to be rewritten, entire doctrines could be questioned, and the faith of millions of people could change overnight. Could this be the real reason for the Vatican to keep this secret? Could this be why, over the centuries, anyone who got too close to this discovery was silenced? With each new piece of this puzzle, more questions arise. Does the Vatican know something it doesn't want us to know? If the Church has answers, why doesn't it share them? If there are documents, why are they under lock and key? What is really behind this mystery? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides the true Holy Grail, or that this relic was lost forever? Write the sentence in the comments, "The lost cup must be revealed," if you think this truth should come out. And if you believe there is something much bigger being hidden, comment, "The Vatican knows the truth," to show that we are attentive to this mystery. The chalice of the Last Supper, the same as, according to the scriptures, Jesus Christ used to share wine with his disciples the night before his crucifixion, has become one of the most enigmatic and disputed objects in history. Much more than a simple utensil, it is seen as a sacred symbol, a relic that represents the blood of Christ and carries with it a power that defies human understanding. But why has its location become such a well-kept secret? What is behind this relic that arouses so much interest and at the same time, so much fear? Over the centuries, countless searches have been carried out to find this sacred chalice. Since the Templars, who supposedly hid him to protect him from the Church, even the Nazis, who believed he could grant absolute power, many have tried to find him. But what if the Holy Grail had never been lost? And was he always under the possession of an institution that never allowed this truth to be revealed to the world? The Vatican could be hiding the real cup of the Last Supper. If so, what are they so afraid of being discovered? Historical records show that there are several cups considered as possible candidates for the Holy Grail. Some of these relics are displayed in churches in Europe, such as the Valencia cup in Spain, or the mysterious sacred Catino, kept in Genoa. But what makes these discoveries even more intriguing is that none of them have ever been officially recognized by the Catholic Church as being the true chalice. Why? If there is evidence that one of these objects could be the cup used by Christ, why does the Church refuse to authenticate it? The answer may be simple: because the true cup was never accessible to the public. It may be locked, hidden in some safe inside the Vatican's secret library. This may seem like a conspiracy theory to some, but there is evidence that the Vatican keeps it in its archives information about sacred relics that have never been revealed to humanity. Within the walls of the Holy See, there is a collection of manuscripts dating back centuries, containing secrets that could change everything we know about the history of Christianity. Among these documents, some researchers believe that there are records about the real location of the Holy Grail. But if this information exists, why does the Church insist on keeping it secret? Answer may lie in the meaning of the Grail itself. Many believe that it's not just a physical object, but a key to hidden knowledge, something so powerful it could challenge the dogmas of Christianity and shake the faith of millions of people. There are theories that state that the chalice it would not be a simple cup, but rather a receptacle that contains a forbidden secret, something that the church would never allow to come to light. Could it be a document hidden inside the cup? An inscription with words spoken by Christ and never recorded in the Gospels? Or, as some believe, was Jesus' own blood preserved in this cup? And could it reveal something beyond what we imagine? If we analyze the history of Vatican and its involvement with holy relics, we will realize that many of them were hidden, destroyed, or simply disappeared without explanation. The Shroud of Turin, for example, is one of the few sacred objects that the Church officially recognizes. But even so, there is controversy about its authenticity. So, if there are historical records and scientific evidence about the possible whereabouts of the Grail, why was he never introduced to the world? Does the Vatican believe this discovery would be too dangerous? What would happen if the true cup of the Last Supper was revealed? Would this completely change the way people view faith? What would happen to the Church if this relic had a very different meaning from what has been taught for centuries? The truth is that when a mystery is too great, those in power will do anything to keep it hidden. And perhaps that is exactly what is happening with the Holy Grail. If history teaches us anything, it's that the greatest secrets are never simply forgotten. They are hidden. And when we talk about the Holy Grail, we talk about one of the best-kept mysteries in the world, an object shrouded in legends, conspiracies, and suspicious silences. But among all the theories, one thing is certain. If the real cup of the Last Supper still exists, it is not just anywhere. It is protected, locked, hidden from prying eyes. The burning question is, where exactly is he? Many believe that the answer to this question lies within the walls of Vatican. A Vatican secret library, one of the most restricted and inaccessible places on the planet, contains thousands of documents and historical objects that have never been exposed to the public. Inside, far from the eyes of the world, may be stored relics that challenge everything we know about the Christian faith. There are reports from former members of the Church who claim that the Vatican has an underground vault, where priceless relics are kept away from the knowledge of common people. Could the Holy Grail be among them? Some believe so. And if true, what does it contain that means this information has never been revealed? Other theories suggest that the Holy Grail is not only locked, but protected by a secret order within the Church. There are rumors about discreet societies that, over the centuries, have been tasked with protecting relics considered sacred and dangerous. Templars, for example, were an order that was linked to the search and protection of the Grail, but they were persecuted and exterminated by the Church in the 14th century. But is his mission really over? There is evidence that descendants of this order continue to operate in the shadows, protecting secrets that could never fall into the wrong hands. What if, among these secrets, is the true cup of Christ? What would that mean? Another theory that intrigues researchers is that the true Grail may have already been found, but its authenticity has been deliberately ignored by the Church. There are records of relics discovered in ancient churches in Spain and France, objects that have characteristics very close to what would be the Holy Grail. One of the most famous is the Valencia cup, which many believe to be the real cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper. The point is that, despite the evidence, the Vatican never confirmed the authenticity of this object. But why? If there is a chance that this chalice is the original, why would the Church not validate this discovery? The answer may lie in the very essence of the Grail. For centuries, the search for this relic has always been linked to power, knowledge, and control. Some legends say that the Grail is not just a chalice, but an object that contains a secret capable of forever changing the history of Christianity. And if that is the case, the Vatican would never allow this secret to come to light. If the revelation of the Holy Grail could somehow compromise the structure of faith as we know it, it would not be surprising that the Church has chosen silence, absolute secrecy, continuous denial of the truth. Which brings us to an even more disturbing question. What if the Holy Grail is not just a physical object, but something much greater? Some researchers argue that the term Grail may be related to a secret knowledge transmitted by the first followers of Christ, something that was removed from the Bible and erased from historical records to ensure that only one version of history prevailed. This would explain why, to this day, the Vatican never made a point of authenticating any of the relics that could be the Grail. If the true meaning of the Grail were discovered, it could be so disturbing that the Church itself would suffer the consequences. And that brings us to one last point, perhaps the most disturbing of all. If the Holy Grail was found, why doesn't anyone in the Vatican talk about it? What exactly is being hidden? And most importantly, who is stopping us from knowing the truth? The little information we can find is fragmented, shrouded in old stories and theories that have been discredited or silenced. But if there's anything history teaches us, it's that where there's silence, there's a secret waiting to be discovered. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the real Holy Grail is hidden inside the Vatican? Or do you think he's lost in some forgotten temple? Comment, the lost Grail needs to be revealed if you think this truth should come to light, and if you believe that the Church hides something bigger. Comment, the Vatican knows the truth, to show that we are aware of this secret. If there is something that arouses curiosity and questioning, it is the Vatican's silence in the face of discoveries that could revolutionize everything we know about the history of Christianity. In 2014, historians announced to the world that a chalice found in a Spanish cathedral could be the true Holy Grail. The evidence pointed to something extraordinary. The cup, dated back to the 1st century, corresponded to the period in which Jesus lived and presented an origin story that fit with the narrative of the Last Supper. Detailed analysis revealed that it could have been taken from the Holy Land to Europe by followers of Christ, a destination consistent with the historical records of the first Christian relics. But then, why did the Vatican never officially recognize this discovery? The answer to this question may lie in that this relic carries. The Holy Grail has always been surrounded by myth, not just as a holy chalice, but as a symbol of something much bigger. Some legends say that whoever possesses the Grail will have access to forbidden knowledge, a revelation capable of challenging the structure of traditional faith. If this object had actually been found, would the Vatican be interested in admitting this publicly? Or would it be more convenient for this discovery to be kept in the limbo of doubt, discredited, or simply ignored? Another point that leads us to question this silence is the fact that the Vatican has the best experts in sacred relics in the world. If a discovery of this magnitude were real, why would no official representative of the Church came forward to investigate it in depth? Why? Wasn't there a detailed study conducted by experts linked to the Holy See? Could it be that these investigations were carried out in secret and the results were hushed up? What could be being hidden? Some researchers believe that the Church's reluctance to recognize Spain's Grail is linked to something much larger, the possibility that the true relic is elsewhere. There is a theory that the Vatican has already possessed the real Chalice of the Last Supper for centuries, and that any other object found can never be officially recognized because it would compromise the secrets kept in the Church's coffers. If this theory is true, then any discovery outside the Vatican's control becomes a problem. After all, if the public began to believe that the true Holy Grail might be beyond the reach of the Church, wouldn't that weaken the authority of the Holy See? There is also another intriguing question. What if the real chalice contains information or inscriptions that challenge the official narrative of Christianity? If this cup was actually used by Jesus and his disciples, it could have been engraved with something that would completely change the view we have about faith and sacred history. Some apocryphal manuscripts suggest that Christ transmitted secret teachings to his closest followers, truths that were never recorded in the canonical Gospels. If this is true, could the Holy Grail carry a clue to these hidden teachings, something so shocking that it could never be revealed to the public? This line of thought leads us to another crucial point: the control of information and knowledge throughout the history of the Church. It's no secret that the Vatican has already hidden documents, censored manuscripts, and eliminated texts that could contradict official doctrine. If the Grail were recognized and brought with it a new version of the story of Christ, how many beliefs could be shaken? How many dogmas could be questioned? And there is one more detail that cannot be ignored. The secret organizations that, throughout history, have been linked to the mystery of the Holy Grail. Since the Templars, who supposedly protected the Grail before being exterminated by the Church, to more modern reports of discreet societies that may still be guarding this secret today, everything indicates that there is much more behind this mystery than we imagine. If the Vatican knew where the real Grail was and had concrete proof of it, would they allow any other artifact to be considered authentic? Or would they do anything to keep this knowledge away from the public? These questions lead us to an essential point. If the Holy Grail really was found in Spain, why isn't this discovery being studied and publicized with the seriousness it deserves? What is the fear behind this relic? What could happen if the world knew the truth? The Vatican has always been shrouded in mystery. Over the centuries, countless sacred relics have simply disappeared, falling into a limbo between oblivion and deliberate concealment. It wouldn't be surprising if the Chalice of the Last Supper were one of these relics, carefully protected from the hands of the public, kept away from scholars and researchers, untouched, stored in an underground vault in the forbidden corridors of the Vatican's secret library. But why? What is so dangerous about this chalice? If he really was found, why does the Church insist on not recognizing its authenticity? The answer may lie in what this object represents. We are not just talking about a utensil used by Jesus Christ and his disciples, the Holy Grail. It has always been associated with something much bigger. For many, it is not just a sacred object, but a receptacle of forbidden knowledge. Something that, it was revealed, could shake the foundations of Christianity as we know it today. But what could be so shocking that the Church kept this secret locked away for centuries? Some theories suggest that the Grail's true power lies not in its physical existence, but in what it can contain. A cup that preserved the blood of Christ? An artifact that brings unknown inscriptions that reveal words never recorded in the Gospels? Or perhaps something even more disturbing, evidence that the history of Christianity is different from what we have been taught to believe. There are ancient documents that indicate that certain knowledge was taken from the Bible. Apocryphal manuscripts speak of secret teachings of Jesus, messages that did not fit into the narrative that the Church wanted to establish. If the true Holy Grail were to bring these forgotten teachings to light, what would be the impact? Would people's faith change? Would the Church lose its authority? These questions may seem daunting, but if there's anything we've learned throughout history, it's that information is power, and when something is too dangerous to disclose, it is silenced. The Vatican has done this before. They exist records of documents that mysteriously disappeared, prohibited texts that were never published, relics that, from one moment to the next, were considered fake and simply disappeared from the map. A Vatican secret library contains books and records that have never been opened to the public, a veritable treasure trove of information that could rewrite history. And among these documents, there are almost certainly records about the Holy Grail. But what if had the true Grail never been lost? What if he had been in the possession of the Church all along? This would explain why the Vatican has always avoided recognizing any other chalice found throughout history. If the true Grail were already safe, protected from the curious hands of the world, any other discovery should be immediately discredited to prevent attention from turning to what really matters, what this cup contains. This brings us to an even more intriguing point. If the Vatican really possesses this relic and hides it, who has access to it? Just the Pope? Just a select group of cardinals? Or was there a secret order within the Church itself in charge of keeping this relic hidden and protected? There are reports that discreet societies within the Vatican control sensitive information, ensuring that nothing is revealed without a well-defined purpose. Could this be the case with the Holy Grail? Another theory that intrigues researchers is that the Holy Grail may not just be a physical object, but a concept, a secret, a knowledge that has been suppressed over the centuries. What if instead of a golden chalice, the true Grail were a lost document, a written evidence that would bring a new understanding about Jesus Christ and his role in humanity? If that were the case, the Church would never allow this information to reach the public. And there is one more detail that cannot be ignored. If this sacred relic was kept secret for so long, what could happen if it were discovered? The impact of a revelation like this could be devastating. Millions of believers around the world could question the foundations of the Christian faith. Historians could rewrite entire chapters of church history. The Vatican could lose its spiritual authority. And that is exactly why this relic can never be revealed to the public. But the question that keeps echoing is, if the Holy Grail has really been found, if it is hidden inside the Vatican, how long will they be able to keep this secret? In a world where information spreads quickly, are we close to a discovery that could change everything? Will this mystery one day finally be solved? Or is this one of the secrets that will never be revealed? Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides the real cup of the Last Supper? Or do you think this relic has been lost forever? Write in the comments, the Lost Grail must be revealed, if you think this truth should come out. And if you believe there is something much bigger being hidden, comment, the Vatican knows the truth, to show that we are attentive to this mystery. If physical proof of the Holy Grail were revealed to the world, the impact would be immeasurable. For centuries, faith was built on beliefs, sacred texts, and spiritual interpretations. But what would happen if suddenly a tangible and unquestionable artifact came to light, proving that certain biblical events happened exactly as described, or worse, showing a truth that had never been told? The Chalice of the Last Supper, if it really exists and is authenticated, it would not only be a piece of historical value, but physical evidence that could redefine Christianity. And this raises disturbing questions. Would the Church be prepared for this revelation? Would the Vatican allow this secret to come to light? Or would he do anything to hide the truth? The Holy Grail is not just a relic. He represents the blood of Christ, the essence of divine sacrifice, and the promise of salvation. It is not just an ancient object, but a symbol that supports one of the foundations of the Christian faith. If its authenticity were confirmed, millions of believers around the world would find themselves faced with something that would materialize belief at a level never seen before. For some, this would be the greatest testimony of faith. For others, it could mean a collapse of spirituality as we know it, as faith, by definition, does not require concrete evidence. It is based on belief. But what if an object is capable of proving something beyond belief? How would religious leaders react? The Church has always played a fundamental role in interpretation and control of religious narrative throughout history. If the Holy Grail were presented to the world, it would no longer be possible to just believe or doubt. The truth would be before everyone's eyes. And this truth can be a risk, especially for the Vatican's power and influence structure. What would happen if the chalice carried a different message than the one preached for centuries? If there were in it inscriptions or marks that contradicted the canonical Gospels? If this relic revealed a side of Jesus Christ that has been erased from historical records, a teaching that should never be known? And this is exactly where things get even more disturbing. The Vatican has already shown, countless times, that does not hesitate to hide information when deemed necessary. Manuscripts were kept secret, books were banned, apocryphal texts were rejected so that only a single version of history was accepted. What if the Holy Grail wasn't just a chalice, but the key to a forbidden truth? What if it contained not just traces of the past, but a revelation that could transform Christianity forever? If this truth came to light, the power of the Church would be at risk. After all, the Vatican is not just a religious institution, but an entity with immense political and economic influence. For centuries, he controls the narrative about what can and cannot be considered part of sacred history. But an artifact like the Grail could break that control. What would happen if the faithful began to question not only religious dogmas, but also the intentions of the Church itself? If they discovered that crucial information had been withheld, not just about the cup, but about other secrets that may be hidden inside the Vatican's secret library? And this wouldn't be the first case of something like this happening. Think about discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. These texts, found in caves at Qumran, revealed ancient versions of biblical writings that differed significantly from modern versions of Scripture. Despite their importance, many parts of these documents were kept confidential for decades. The Church has a long history of suppressing information that could put your authority at risk. So why would it be any different with the Holy Grail? The big question that needs to be asked is the world really prepared for this truth? If the cup of the Last Supper were found, studied, and confirmed as legitimate, who would control this narrative? Would it be a discovery shared with the world, or a secret kept only by an elite who would decide how and when this information should be revealed? Would the Vatican risk losing its influence by allowing this truth to come to light? Or would you do everything to ensure that this discovery remained inaccessible, hidden, discredited? If there's anything we can learn from history, it's that great discoveries can completely change the course of humanity. However, what defines the impact of these revelations is not just what was discovered, but who controls this information. The Holy Grail may have been found. He may already be in hiding, protected by a secret organization, away from the public eye. And if this is true, how long will this secret be kept? How long will people accept that the truth about this sacred relic remains hidden? If there's one thing the Vatican has dominated for centuries, it's control over sacred relics and information about them. Throughout history, many biblical artifacts have been embroiled in mysteries and conspiracy theories, but few are as enigmatic as the Shroud of Turin, the Ark of the Alliance, and the secret documents kept under lock and key by the Vatican. These objects carry immeasurable spiritual and historical weight, and their true origins and meanings continue to be hidden from humanity. But the big question is, why? What is so dangerous about these relics? And most importantly, what is the connection between them and the Holy Grail? The Shroud of Turin. It is one of the most studied and debated religious artifacts in history. This fabric, which many believe to be the cloth that wrapped Jesus' body after the crucifixion, it contains a mysterious image engraved on its surface, a face that many say is that of Christ himself. The Church has always had an ambiguous relationship with this object. At times, she recognized its importance. In others, avoided confirming its authenticity, leaving room for doubts and questions. Scientists around the world carried out tests to determine his true age, and some results indicated that he may be much older than previously imagined, coinciding with the period in which Jesus lived. But if the shroud really is authentic, what could it reveal about the face of Christ, about his resurrection, and about what really happened after his death? And then we come to Ark of the Alliance, one of the most sacred objects mentioned in the Bible. According to the Old Testament, this artifact was built under the direct orders of God to guard the tablets of the law, which contain the 10 Commandments. But its history is surrounded by mysteries. After being kept in Solomon's temple, he simply disappeared from history. But was this disappearance accidental, or does the Vatican know exactly where he is? There is evidence that the arch was taken to safety by Jewish priests before the destruction of the temple, and there are rumors that he could be hidden in secret Vatican vaults, far from the eyes of the world. And if this is true, why would the Church ever allow the arch to be exposed to the public? What is it about him that could be so dangerous? Now, think for a moment. If the Holy Grail is truly found, would he join these sacred artifacts kept under wraps by the Vatican? Is there a connection between these relics? Many theories suggest that together, these pieces would form a puzzle, capable of revealing deep secrets about Christianity and the very existence of faith as we know it. If the Vatican does indeed hold information about these objects, why does it refuse to share this truth with the world? Inside the Vatican secret library, there are records that have never been opened to the public, ancient manuscripts that may contain detailed descriptions of sacred relics, their true locations, and why they were hidden. Some leaked documents indicate that the Church already had knowledge about the possible location of the Holy Grail, but chose not to reveal this information. Others suggest that the authenticity of the Shroud of Turin has already been confirmed behind the scenes in the Church, but revealing it to the public would bring consequences that the Vatican prefers to avoid. If all this is true, what exactly is being protected? If these objects are real, why has the Church never allowed them to be studied completely openly? And most importantly, what would happen to the power of the Vatican if the world discovered the truth? Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican really knows the location of these holy relics? Or do you think their disappearance was a coincidence? Write in the comments, the truth needs to be revealed. If you think the Vatican should open its secret archives, And if you believe there is something much bigger being hidden, comment, "The Vatican knows the truth," to show that we are attentive to this mystery. If the real Holy Grail, if it were kept in a secret vault in the Vatican, away from the eyes of the world, we would be talking about one of the greatest secrets in the history of humanity. The Catholic Church has centuries of experience in keeping information protected and away from public knowledge. After all, what could happen if this relic were exposed? What could she reveal? And most importantly, who within the Vatican would have access to this forbidden knowledge? The Vatican's secret. Archives are one of the most inaccessible places on the planet. Only a select group of cardinals and authorized scholars can enter these halls, where thousands of historical manuscripts, forbidden documents, and forgotten relics are hidden. The Pope, supposedly, would have full access to these secrets, but is this the whole truth? What if there is something even darker happening within the Vatican walls? What if there is a secret organization within the Church responsible for ensuring that certain secrets are never revealed? Many believe that discreet societies operate within the Vatican, protecting relics and ensuring that dangerous truths never reach the public. It wouldn't be surprising if the Holy Grail was under the care of one of these occult orders, watched by people who would never allow this information to become public. This would explain why any discovery related to the Grail is quickly discredited, silenced, or simply ignored by the Church. And here comes an even more intriguing detail. If the Holy Grail really were hidden, would it be possible that new clues about him would emerge in the coming years? The answer may be closer than we think. Some historical documents that have recently come to light indicate that independent researchers may be close to discovering something big, and this puts the Church in a delicate position. If new evidence is revealed, would the Vatican try to discredit them, or perhaps even intervene directly to prevent this information from spreading? Recent years have shown that access to information is becoming more difficult to control. Ancient manuscripts that were once hidden are being digitized. Archaeologists are finding clues that were previously unthinkable, and interest in religious secrets has never been greater. Are we getting closer to a revelation that could change everything? Does the Vatican itself know that can't you keep this secret locked away forever? If the Holy Grail, if it really is hidden within the Vatican's secret vaults, it would mean that the Church has known about its location for centuries and has deliberately chosen to keep this information hidden from the public. But why? What exactly does this relic carry that makes it so dangerous to be revealed to the world? It is not difficult to imagine that if such a sacred and mythical object were found, it would radically change the faith of millions of people and could even put the authority of the Vatican at risk about Christianity. Many believe that the Holy Grail is not just a holy chalice, but a vessel that holds a forbidden secret, something that could reveal a truth that has never been told to humanity. This theory is not absurd, as the Vatican has already hidden historical documents, erased records, and suppressed information that could compromise the official narrative of the Church. What if the Grail brought to light something that directly challenged the doctrines we know today? Would this be the real reason for the Church never officially recognized the supposed discoveries of this relic? Throughout history, many holy relics simply disappeared or were declared lost, which raises an important question. Did these relics really disappear, or were they deliberately hidden? The Vatican has a history of preserving artifacts considered dangerous, keeping them away from independent historians and researchers. If the Holy Grail is locked inside the Vatican's secret library, who has access to it? Just the Pope? Or is there a secret society within the Church charged with ensuring that it never becomes public? The existence of hidden orders within the Vatican is something that many scholars have suspected for a long time. The Church has always had internal factions, groups that hold information that will never be shared with the public. If the Holy Grail is in the hands of one of these societies, it is unlikely to be revealed, as they know that exposing this artifact to the world could have irreversible consequences. Which leads us to an even more intriguing question. Does the Pope himself know the whole truth about the Holy Grail? Or does he also have limited access to this information? What if new evidence starts to emerge in the coming years? If independent archaeologists obtain concrete clues about the whereabouts of the Holy Grail, how would the Vatican react? Would the Church allow the information to be released, or would he attempt to discredit any study? as he has done with other historical documents that were considered a threat to his power. Many researchers have tried to unravel mysteries linked to the Grail, and in some cases, the evidence has simply been discarded, suppressed, or discredited without explanation. Why? Is it just a coincidence? Or is there something much bigger going on behind the scenes? Modern technology is making it increasingly difficult to hide information. The advancement of archaeology and the digitization of ancient texts have allowed researchers to analyze records that were previously inaccessible. Ancient documents that have been locked away for centuries are being reviewed, studied, and in some cases, even leaked. If there is a hidden truth about the Holy Grail, we are closer than ever to discovering it. But the big question is, when this truth comes to light, how will the Church deal with it? If you've made it this far, it means you're someone who seeks the truth and wants to understand the hidden mysteries of the Vatican. And this journey is just beginning. Then, subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell so you don't miss any of the next videos, because there is still a lot to be revealed. Now, I want you to comment below, "The secret cannot stay hidden," to show that we are attentive and want this truth to come to light. If you watched until the end, leave your like, because this helps this video reach more people and spread this investigation. And don't stop here. Click on the next video that is appearing on the screen now, because in it, we will reveal another hidden secret the Vatican never wanted you to discover.